Hey, Mama. I know it's been a while since I made one of these. Yeah, I miss being in this place. Um, due to school and all that stress going on with work, I haven't been able to play a whole lot, but there's a reason why I haven't made a video for you in a long time. But first of all, I'm in Minecraft 1.12. So, oh, wait, is it gonna show it to me? I don't think so. I think I have to get back into survival mode. 0. Oh, I thought I did. Oh, right, because I did that on the lane world. Well, I'm in Minecraft 1.12. It's not gonna let me show it to you because I'm in creative mode. But yeah, I'm in Minecraft 1.12. So the crafting system's different. They added parrots, all the new colors of concrete. They changed all the colors. But just so you know that if some things look a little different, that's why. The other reason why some things look a little different is I'm still using the B-dubs resource pack, and he changed stuff like the flowers. Those are normal, naturally generated Minecraft flowers, and he made them look a whole lot better in his updated resource pack. So that's another reason why things will look a little different. But back on to the story. So the reason why I haven't made a video in a very, very, very long time is my Minecraft world suffered a file corruption. What I would do, this is a survival world, so instead of being smart and just pillaring up to get an aerial view of things, I decided I would use my noggin and open the world to land with the cheats on, and then just go into creative and fly around so that I could get a look at things that I wanted to get a look at. Well, the only problem with that was it wasn't that great for the internet connection. So one day I was goofing around, I was switching back and forth between creative and survival, creative and survival, creative and survival, and the game froze. Now, it had already done that to me a couple of times before, so I thought I'd just wait it out and it would be fine. But it was taking forever. And I wanted to go ahead and get work done because I didn't feel like waiting around for forever just so I could play a game. So I did the stupid thing. Stupid Ryan. And I shut the computer off. And when I logged back on to this. Yeah. The file corrupted and it switched a lot of chunks around. So, see, there's a bit of my wheat field. It's probably that bit right there. All the way out in the middle of my river. And there's my bridge that used to be right here. Yeah, I rage quit. I was not happy at all. Oh man, all that work gone, trashed, down the tubes. I was mad. I was really mad. Look, it even completely relocated my house. I didn't even mean to do this, build the house in one chunk, but apparently I did. So when the whole world relocated the chunks, it took the whole house with it instead of splitting it in half. It looks weird, but kind of awesome at the same time. I mean, it's just a totally relocated house. I never expected that. So, that's the reason why I haven't made a whole lot of videos. Because of stuff like this. This right here is actually a chunk of that right there. So it rearranged chunks and it duplicated chunks. So I wasn't about to go back through this world and chop everything down and re-terraform everything and get everything back the way it was, because that would have taken so much work. I mean, think about trying to remember what this river looked like, and not to mention having to replace all those water source blocks. That would have been crazy. There was no way I was going to do that. That was just way too much work for not enough payoff. So, I had to give up on this world. That's the reason why there haven't been a lot of videos. There's the reason why there hasn't been a video. Because Ryan was stupid. And Ryan did not pay attention to simple computer rules. Sometimes I really hate my brain. But the other reason why this video has been so long in the making is I started over. This is a creative world, and you will notice that I have completely rebuilt the house, block for block. I went back and forth between my first world and this world, and I completely rebuilt this house because I really liked the way it turned out, and I didn't want to give up on the house. This was something we built together. I really liked it. Oh yeah, this is something from the B-Dubs 1.12 resource pack. Don't those flowers look cool? He did that for the dandelions and the poppies, so they don't look as, I guess, as silly as they used to. They look like they actually belong with the ground cover now, instead of just random flowers. It's really nice. So I have been spending a lot of time in a creative world, completely rebuilding it. Yeah. Oh wait, am I in creative mode? Let me one. There we go. This is a creative world, and what I did was I just went through and I remade everything. And you'll notice I put in a lot of extra stuff too. Now, while I was in the process of rebuilding all this, see, there's the house, block for block, completely as it was before. Yeah, I couldn't give up on this. I like this way too much. But, instead of just completely rebuilding the world from the ground up, one, because I was bored, two, because I thought this world had enough potential to deserve it, I just spent a lot of time flying around in creative mode and doing a lot of planning. So you'll see that I've planned out the wheat fields a lot better. Instead of just having one massive wheat field with one little house right here, instead I've got it separated into 4 different wheat fields, and each one has its own corresponding house. So this guy, he's got, from that fence right there, following along the road here, all the wheat on this side. This guy has all of the wheat on this side, in between the lake and the road, and this road. So all of this right here. This guy, the head farmer, because he's got the biggest house, and he's got a shed, and he's got a pen big enough for 2 horses, and he's got a tree. He has everything on this side. So everything on that side of the fence, and on this side of the road. And then this guy, he's easily got the most segmented part of the wheat field. He's got all this over here. Now, what I did was, I only used creative for the stuff I knew I had already built in the old world. So for this right here, and for that tower there, I rebuilt all of that in creative. That was done in creative. And the wheat fields were done in creative. Everything else though, these houses, this wall, All of that was done in survival. The bridge was done in creative too. All I wanted to do was get myself back to where I was before, and I wanted to use creative instead of survival, so I didn't have to have the same problem of going back and forth between land mode survival, land mode creative, land mode survival, land mode creative, and then possibly have the same issue with the computer crashing again. So to avoid all that, I just went with creative, which already has all the cheats on it, and I could switch it back and forth at ease. Now, there are a lot of things that I've done different in this world other than my first world, partly because I've been in creative and I have the ability to visualize the things a little bit better because I can go ahead and sketch them out real quick. But I've also done a lot more planning. I didn't build the keep that I had in this area before in the other world because I didn't like the way it was looking. It took up way too much space, and I need to plan out this area in here better. So what I've done is I've just gone around and done a lot more planning. I kept the same basic shape, the same basic principles that I had for my old world, but I went ahead and I planned out this town over here. I planned out the wheat fields, and I planned out a lot more stuff out over that way. So I think I'll start over here, seeing how we're already over here. This over here, this was a naturally formed rock formation. If I go back to the old world, you can see it before I updated it. Because in this world, the only chunks that rearranged themselves were the ones that were loaded when I crashed. So I think I was somewhere around the house when it happened. So all of the chunks that were loaded but lazy, they rearranged themselves. So this guy, he wasn't loaded yet, so he got saved. But this is a naturally generated rock formation. And I decided, you know what? This would be a great place for another portal. I mean, look, it's already got the archway. What if, for some weird reason, there was some kind of energy here that developed a portal? So I decided in my new world, same world thing, I decided to go ahead and turn it into the nether portal, and it turned out fantastic. I really liked this idea. Oh yeah, I took a little bit of creative liberties. It's very difficult to get mob heads in survival. I just thought that it would look really cool to have skeleton heads outside the nether portal. So you have to forgive me on that. This was another thing that I built in creative because I was in the moment. I was like, ooh, I feel like there should be a lighthouse here. Lighthouse didn't turn out so great. Ooh, what if it's a watchtower? So I built a bridge across, made another tower, so now it's dual watchtowers. The things that happen when you get in a building frenzy. And I really like how this turned out. The wall, however, is completely survival. I did all of that. I farmed all the resources and I placed all the blocks by hand. It took a long time to get that done. Another reason why it took forever to get this video out. Also, you'll notice I've done a lot of work to the river system. There is no more sand and gravel on the bottom. It's just completely dirt. That way it looks a little bit better. Here, there's still stone on the bottom, simply because that for the dock area, I'm not sure if I want it to be dirt on the bottom or stone on the bottom. I have yet to decide. I'm leaning towards the stone because I feel like they would want a better support for the docks area, simply because the water displacement from the ships is going to be playing havoc on the bottom there. And I think that might look better. I think it might look a little bit more industrial. So I might do that a little bit later. But you'll see I've got all kinds of blocks planned. This was part of me being in creative mode. what I did was, this wall, it used to be red blocks like this. The red wool blocks are my wall blocks, my wall planting blocks. The sandstone and the signs are my blocks to represent where I want to put a building. I forgot to put one there, I just put a sign. The cobble blocks represent where I want the roads to go, and you saw them up here. The birch half slabs represent where I want paths, not roads, paths. So, using that basic plan, I just went on ahead and I planned out this entire area. It helped me get the idea for where I wanted my wheat fields to be. This used to be all birch planks and cobble blocks. The whole thing. It didn't look that great. It looks a lot better now. So what I've done, my whole planning process was I would look at the natural landscape and see what kind of potential it had, because I didn't want to do a whole lot of terraforming. It's probably one of my least favorite things to do in Minecraft. Even though it looks, if you do it right, it ends up looking really, really good. But I didn't want to do a whole bunch of it, so I was like, what does the land suggest to me? Like, I know what I want this general area to be, but what does the land tell me where things should go? So I started out with a few basic things. I decided, well, there's going to be a gate here because I want the road to go out that way. So there'll be a gatehouse there, a couple of more houses here, and then I decided, okay, so where's the roads going to go before I put in too many more houses? And I decided I'm going to have a road following along the wall, so it'll go right back out that way to the farms. But then there'll be another road that goes through town, and this right here, I didn't touch that. That's still naturally generated. I decided, why not have the road go around it instead of having it be a straight line, and then I can just put a big building there. And I decided I would put the inn right there. One, because it's a large enough space. Two, it projects right out into the middle of town, so the travelers coming through, it's the first thing they see. They're like, oh yes, hallelujah, rest and food. And then over here, I haven't decided how I'm going to do it just yet, but over here I'm going to have the market area. And the road's going to come straight through the market area right back outside, so that the farmers, when they need to buy groceries or supplies for their tools or food for the horses, they can just go zip, zip, right in and out. Over here, I'm not sure if I want to make this an extension of the market area, or if I want this to be the governor's plot, because I've decided to make this hill right here the governor's house. The only reason I decided that was because it was a hill, and I didn't feel like getting rid of the hill, because this right here made a natural roadway, the spot in between the hills. So I didn't want to get rid of the hills, but then it was just like, well, there's a hill there, what do I do with it? So potentially I'm thinking about putting the governor's house there. That way everybody who walks through has to go by the governor's house and be like, oh, this is an awesome guy, he has so much good stuff, blah, 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 blah. You know, little ego booster on his part. But I'm not sure if I want this area right here to be part of his house or to be part of the market area. Still haven't decided on that yet. Over here is going to be mostly houses. Possibly, because of the watchtowers there, I'm thinking possibly maybe guard barracks. This isn't a very big town, so there won't be a whole bunch of guards. This isn't like Skyrim where half the population is guards. But I feel like this place does need some kind of military presence, because this isn't like, this is an old town where danger comes from all sides. It isn't like modern day towns like today, where it's open roads and you're relatively safe from danger on the outskirts of town. So basically a medieval town. Let's just call it that. Medieval. It gives you the right context. I doubt this place is going to look very medieval, but the context is a medieval town. It's definitely an older town, like maybe 1400s, 1300s kind of feel. Maybe. I just wanted to get the idea that it's an older town. So maybe the military guards, barracks things will be up here. Or maybe it'll be lower class housing. I'm thinking that right up here at the front, I'll have stores. Sailors will be getting off the docks right here and coming straight out here. So they're going to want to be able to do stuff. The customs and the warehouse will be right here. That's where all the goods from the ships are going to go. They're going to go right here. So the sailors can have all their stuff over here. Their trinket houses, their taverns, all that good stuff. That could be all along here. And then whenever they want, they can just go to the market area over here, buy stuff that they want, all that good stuff. And then up here, I'm not sure how I'm going to split it up just yet. I know for sure that this up here is going to be dedicated to the dock still. It's going to be the customs area, the warehouse. Another reason why I decided to put the governor's house there. He'll be right next to the customs, you know, where all the money's going to be coming in. So he can keep his eyes on it. I know for sure I'm going to have a, for lack of a better term, church up here. It'll be a religious site, and there'll be a place of worship up here. Don't know how I'm going to build that yet. I'm possibly going to have a graveyard back here. I feel like that would look really cool. Be a nice use for that little space right there. Be right behind the church, so it would fit right in. This area up here I may just leave as open grounds, either for the church or for the governor, not sure, or I may turn it into residential, like higher end residential area. It's still a work in progress. This is just still the bare bones. I mean, I've done a lot more planning than in this world than what I've done in the old world. So I like what I've got so far, but it's still bare bones stuff. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to decide as I'm building on it. You know, like the few definite things that I have built, like the inn, not built, that I have planned out, like the inn, I'm going to get started building that. And then as I'm building that, I'll be like, well, because this looks the way it does, this would need to look this way, this would need to look this way, and it would just spread out from there. That's another reason why I've decided possibly putting the guards barracks up here, because I ended up building the watchtowers over there, and it would be easier for them to get back and forth to the watchtowers if they're up here. So that's generally how my planning goes. I get the bare bones out, and then as I build, it just kind of develops. I feel like that ends up looking a lot better because it flows better. Then over here, this is where I've done a whole lot of planning. I still have to get the roads in for this area. I haven't decided what they're going to look like. I know before I had the gravel and the cobble textured paths, but I'm not sure if I want that now, because this is still a relatively open area. I don't know. I know for the fact, I know I'm going to have the town, like a big town up here. Maybe big enough to be a city. I haven't got the full idea of it in my head yet. But there's going to be a big town up here. And I know that up here the roads are going to be stone and gravel. It's going to look like that. So I don't know if I want to continue all that down here, all the way to the bridge and all the way out to there, or if I just want to have it stop inside the town and have this be more rugged. I don't know. I'm still thinking on it. Look at the house. It looks so good. We did a good job, Mama. High five. Alright. But, I did a lot more planning over here. Remember how at one point I said the castle was going to be over that way? Well, I decided instead I'm going to put it over here. And I'll get into my reasons for that when I go over there and show you what happened over there. So, again, the red blocks are walls. The red wool blocks are walls. The cobble blocks are roads, and the blue wool blocks are water. So what I'm going to do is, this right here is going to be the castle. Ta-da! Keep entrance. And it'll just be a natural rock outcropping that's been built onto and into. So I want to kind of keep the look of the original rock, which means I'm going to keep this waterfall. And the waterfall creates a natural moat. So instead of just having the water stop there, I'm going to make possibly a pool right here, a small pool, and then the water's going to flow down this way into this lake that I made. I'll get into this in a minute. But the castle entrance will go there. It's got a nice protruded front all ready for that. There will be a tower right here in between this I forget what this thing is called, protrusion, and the wall here. And then what really made me decide that this was going to be the castle was this right here. It looks like something. It looks like a Minas Tirith, the city of Gondor. You know how there was that up at the top of the city, how the city was built in layers, and at the top of the city there was the outlook, like the giant white rock outlook over the entire city. Yeah, I'm gonna build this up, beef it up some, so that it looks a little bit more like that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to build a pool, a small pool up here, and it's going to flow off the end of the balcony, and it's going to land in a pool down here and flow down into the lake. And then along this ridge here, there's going to be a massive wall. This area right here, I'm planning on being gardens for the king's enjoyment. This will be the courtyard area, and then over here will be the drill fields for the guards, because, you know, keeps aren't just royalty housing, they're basically military presence. That's what their original purpose is. So this over here will be the military part of the castle. The drill field will be here, and the housing will be here. I can't wait to get started working on this. This is going to look good when I finally get it up and running. And I haven't done any planning yet for this area. I might get into that at some point. Right now, I don't have a lot of ideas as to where I want what to go. So right now I'm going to focus on this, because I've got a lot going on right here that I want to go ahead and get started working on. But this area will look pretty cool too. I may as well go and show you all this over here. Remember, this used to be all plains. Nothing but plains. But it was too hilly for me to really do anything with. And seeing as how I was going to have the castle right there and a gigantic wall here, I was like, well, what are they going to be, what am I trying to say? What is the king going to be looking at when he goes out on this overlook? What are the walls going to be protecting them from? So I started looking at this area, and I realized that all of this was a really big depression. I was like, what if that were filled with water? That would get rid of a lot of the lower spots for me, and it would help even the terrain out some, meaning I can build more stuff. So I put the lake in here, and all of a sudden, all these possibilities opened up. I realized, you know what? That area right there could be a town. This over here could be a wheat field. Not sure what I'm going to do with this. Possibly just open area. I feel like that would look pretty good. I mean, it already looks kind of nice. It doesn't look as empty with the lake being right there. So I decided there's going to be a town right here. That'll give this guy something to look at whenever he comes out on this balcony. And it'll give me something to do with this area. Now, all that's naturally generated, but these are just depressions that were in the natural landscape. I decided, why not go ahead and fill them with water too? I think it turned out pretty good. I really like how it turned out. I added the waterfall too. From this angle, it looks manufactured because of all those dirt spikes in it. But the dirt spikes have to be there or it's not going to flow the way I want it to. Maybe I'll replace it with stone instead of dirt. Maybe that would look better. I need to make the bottom bigger too. Right now it just looks kind of... From here, it looks okay. And from the bottom, it kind of looks okay too. I still need to work on it though. But, alright, so these are the plans I've made for this area. Now, the saddest part, and possibly the coolest part, about me having to rebuild this whole world, the saddest part is I was not able to keep my giant hole that I dug. And I was not about to rebuild that. That was the kicker. That was the kicker for me. That was why my life moment. So the other reason why I decided to do more planning with this world than with my first world was I was never originally happy with where I'd put the hole in the first place. It's just I'd gotten started with it and I was like, well, it's here now. Let's keep going with it. So I decided, let's wait on building the hole again. And let's decide what I really want to do with the area. And I kept thinking and I kept thinking and I kept thinking. I was like, what do I want to do with this area? I don't know. It's just too... Nothing's coming to me. So, I went back to this area right here. You'll notice I've done some work on it. This was where I was originally planning on putting the cathedral, remember? It was going to come out to about here, and it was going to have a giant dome over it, and it was going to look a lot like the Hagia Sophia in Turkey. And it was all going to be to commemorate that big rock right there. It was going to be like the, oh, what's the name of that rock? The one in Jerusalem, the one that the Muslims have claimed, the ones that, the Jews claim is sacred too. The rock of the Rock of the Covenant or something. I doubt, no, that's not the name of it. But you know what I'm talking about. That rock. I was going to treat it like it was that rock. It was just a giant rock. And the only thing special about it was the fact that it seemed to be so perfectly situated in between all these other rocks, almost like it just kind of like an asteroid or something, and this was the blowout. Or as if something had put it there and then framed it with all this. So I was like, I need to do something with that. So I just started working on this. And what I did was I filled the whole thing with obsidian. Like I hollowed it out, filled it with obsidian, and then I put this in here. And I was like, this is really cool. These people, whoever they are, worship the Wither, and this is where they come to do that. You know, this is their pilgrimage spot. And I was really liking where that idea was going, but I still couldn't figure out what kind of building I wanted to put around it. So I decided, you know what, let's not put a building around it. Let's just leave it the way it is and make it a actual pilgrimage site. You know, like you have to walk to it to get to it, and it's just out in the middle of the wilderness. Like it's still kind of maintained. Like I put the moat around it, and I might pretty up the area around it a little bit, but for the most part, it's just there. It's natural. It's out in the wild. It's untamed. So I decided I was going to block off the town, the city, from this area. So I terraformed all of this in creative mode. I wasn't about to do this in survival. This is me. This right here, this wall right here, you can kind of tell from the top. What I did was I continued the curve on this mountain and I brought it all the way through to this hillock right here. I was already planning on having a wall here anyway. So I decided, why have a man-made wall when I can just have a natural wall? And I like how it turned out. I need to continue it all the way down to here. All the way to the river. so that it doesn't, so that nobody can climb over it. This so that they have to go along the walkway. That way, it makes more sense in my head. So what would happen is the pilgrims would come up here through the castle. They'd get to pay their respects to the king and his queen, and then they'd walk through the castle, and the path comes out back here. And this is the start of the Wither Walk, for lack of a better term. I actually kind of like that. I just made that up. The Wither Walk. Alright, so they come through the castle, begin the Wither Walk. There's this nice little pretty area behind the castle. They get to see the flower forest, the beginnings of the mountains. Ooh, so pretty, so nice, so wonderful. Now, keep in mind, these people will be coming from a long ways before they get to the castle. This is just like the last leg of their journey. And they walk through here, through the crevices in the mountains. They get to see the nice little water features. And then, boom, there it is right there. Nice scenic framing right here. And I like how this turned out because there's this little jut out here too. So I'm thinking I'll build this out, have the path go around it. So pilgrims, as they're walking through here, they're surrounded by mountains and it's so claustrophobic. And then all of a sudden, it just opens out into this and they can stand out on this jut out here and really get an eye out for it. Get that awestruck moment in before they continue walking. Then they can keep going. Again, following the natural terrain. I didn't want to go in a straight line across the bumps. I decided to try and stay as much on the same level as I possibly could. So I may end up emphasizing these hills a little bit here, or maybe putting bushes along it. I'm not sure yet. So the road's going to come along, not the road, the path is going to come along here. It's going to wind its way around. You get to see the thing from all angles as you're walking up to it. You walk up through it, you walk into it, you're like, yay, weather, and then you walk out, and you can continue walking down this way, or you can walk back. Up to you. I also added this little side path here, just in case. I really like this area right here, where the waterfall is coming down. So I made this pool for it, and it goes down into a cave that was already here. This was a naturally generated water pool, so I decided, why not have the waterfall go into the pool? It made sense in my head, and it ended up looking really cool. So I've decided there will be a path going up here where the pilgrims can chill out here if they want to for a little bit. I like that idea. Now, if they wanted to continue, the idea is if this wasn't their end destination and they wanted to go over to the nether portal over there, that would be like the culmination of their religious experience. They want to actually go to the nether and meet the Wither himself instead of just meeting his effigy that was put here inside this weird rock that seems to have been put here by the nether, aka me. So what they can do is they can walk along the path all the way through here, again trying to follow the path of least resistance, and I put along little side paths every now and then so to specific points. That way you can look out and get a feel for the mountains and appreciate the area that you're in. Following the path of least resistance. Here we go. Here we go. Didn't want to carve a path down through here. It was too steep, and I would have to do a lot of work to get rid of that water. And I want to try and keep as many natural features as possible and destroy as little as possible. So the path goes around this way. Trying to hurry up because this is already 40 minutes long. Here they go. Onto the island here, which isn't necessarily an island, but it's a giant peninsula. Here they go. Again, taking the path of least resistance, taking the scenic route. Here we go. Nice little amphitheater there. And here they go. They've got it. They finally made it. It's in sight. Now, the only thing I wish that could have been different was if this rock formation could have been further into the plateau instead of right here at the edge. I feel like that would have been a little bit more dramatic and a little less wearisome on the path. but it is what it is. I really liked the way it turned out, and I guess it's kind of cool that you can see it from down here. I don't know. I may end up moving it. I doubt it. It's just something I wish could have been a little bit different, but I like the way it all turned out anyways. Now, one thing you may have noticed is these little spires here. This is something that I did while I was in creative. I was just flying around and I noticed that there were these little, over here they're especially prominent. Right over here, there were these two little spires that were naturally generated. I've emphasized these two, but they were naturally generated, and I really like the idea of having the road wind its way between them before you get to the town, and you're walking up and you get to see the castle in this little area right here, and then as you're walking through between those two, I feel like it made for a really good scenic idea. It added scenic variety. So what I did was I had this idea to look at all these hillocks that I have around and turn them into rock spires. In my old world, I had these two bulldozed, which made sense, There wasn't anything that I could do with them. They served no purpose. They were just blocking the view from the river. And remember, originally I was going to have a town over here and a bridge across, but then I ditched it because the river wasn't wide enough for it. So there was no point in me bulldozing them then. So I decided, why not keep them this time and turn them into rock spires? And so all across this area, I found the natural hillocks and turned them into rock spires. I might turn that one into a rock spire too, because see how it just goes up. It looks like it's going up. So these two I turned into rock spires. It's kind of hard to see them against the rock there, but these two were natural rock spires. I emphasized them. I turned this into a rock spire, this mountain, because it looked like something needed to be built there. And let's see, over here there's one right there in front of another portal. I built a little one there. The spires weren't originally around this rock. I added the spires here, and over here I added some. There's a big one. There it is right there. That's a really big one right there. That's actually all gravel, believe it or not. All of that is gravel. And let's see, where did I add? Did I add any more? I think those are the only ones that I've added so far. I'm thinking about putting one there too, but I don't want to detract from these guys. I want this to be the main focal point when you're walking up. I don't want your attention to be distracted over there. But that looks like a good spot for a spire too. I think that's everything that I've done, actually. I've rebuilt everything, planned everything out, built a little bit more stuff, got myself good and settled in the world. Yeah. I think that's everything I want to show you. But there is more that I want to talk to you about. So, this is going to be a separate episode because this episode is already 45 minutes long. I didn't want it to be this long, but I didn't think that my tour would end up being that long. I didn't realize I'd actually done that much. So, there's going to be a part 2 to this episode, and what it is while I was busy planning this place out, a story popped into my head. And I've already written 6 or 7 pages worth of storyline that goes with this place. I was not expecting that at all. It's one of those other reasons why this video took so long to come out, because I'd be flying around planning things out and be like, ooh, wait a minute, I could add this into the story. This would make perfect sense. Oh, and because of the story, I can put this here, and I can put this here, and blah, 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 blah. It just snowballed into this giant thing. So, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. And the next episode, the part 2, will be the story. I think you're really gonna like it. I really think you are. So here's to finally being back in the world, finally being caught up with the world, and hopefully there'll be more episodes to come. All right. See you later, Mama.